Serious, what are some seemingly expensive purchases that will actually save you a lot of money in the long run? My wife and I just bought a house. The guy we bought the place from suggests that the house itself is somewhat expensive to heat and keep warm, so the first thing I looked at was the attic, and sure enough, there's 7 inches of insulation when there should be like 16. We're going to blast a few inches of insulation in there and probably save enough on oil to pay for it several times over throughout the life of the place. Make sure to check windows and doors for drafts. This is where a lot of heat loss happens, especially on older homes. I have literally bought more propane grills and vacuum cleaners than I can count. The low to moderately prices ones were just flimsy junk. The day I could afford good ones was the last time I bought either. Came here to say vacuum cleaners. I bought the cheap ones and they usually end up replaced after they run out of bags. Bought one for €400 and I almost like cleaning now. It's so much easier to use, lighter, more powerful and everything. A cab ride when you're drunk. Jesus yes, I always tell my buddies that it's cheaper to pay for an expensive Uber than it is to pay for a cheap lawyer. Cast iron pans will outlive you, your kids' dogs, the dog's poop, and the oak tree that grows from that fertilizer poop. Live in Canada, my SOS parents switched from electric heat to a gas furnace. Cost $20k, went from $500 to heat the house in the winter down to $80. Should pay for itself in about 8 years. Honestly, especially if you have a family of more than 3 members, Costco memberships pay for themselves over a year if you buy only the generic bulk packaging and save tons of money past that. The key is buying items that don't expire, items that you'll know you'll fully use before they expire. For example, toilet paper, paper towels, peanut butter, mayo, etc. Always be on the lookout for long-term monetary net gains. Clothes, especially jeans. Getting a nice pair of jeans usually lasts a lot longer and fits a lot better than cheaper jeans. Furniture, if it is real wood and high quality, it is totally worth it. My dad was an upholsterer for 15 years and had a small business for a while. He swears by lazy boys. They're one of the few that still use hardwood frames as opposed to cheap plywood. Brake pads. Callahan brake pads are the best money can buy. Good shoes and socks. Came here to say shoes. Buy a $300 pair of quality made shoes, and they may last a good decade or so. Or buy $30 shoes and have them last you only 6-8 months. You end up paying more in the long run continually buying cheap shoes that fall apart far more often. Good birth control. IUDs are really expensive to get initially, but the Paragood lasts 10 years and is super reliable. Don't have to remember to take a pill at the same time every day, etc. Best investment ever. US and my Paragood was free. Had to pay $50 copay for an ultrasound due to some discomfort to ensure it was still in place, but still 1000% worth it. A good mattress. Condoms. Most importantly, buy fitted condoms. They might be a bit more expensive if the size you need isn't a common one, but definitely worth it. A washer and dryer. A good chef's knife. Power supply for your computer. Cheap and low wattage ones will blow out real quick and then all of a sudden you're buying a new one in a month. Or you'll be buying a new PC because that cheap power supply blew up all of your components. Red Wing boots. I have a pair of Red Wing Heritage Iron Rangers that lasted 10 years. Been through hundreds of blizzards, hikes, you name it. Around $300 bucks. Dyson Hot Plus cold fan. Went from $85 mo in gas bills to $15 mo. It cost me $300 at Costco. Got a phone case and whatever screen protector I have. All I know is the guy at the store took a hammer and nail and smashed it on my new phone with the screen on. And not even a dent. That salesmanship though. I drop my iPhone once every 2 weeks for the past 3 years and it's completely fine now. Books, if you read them seriously and use the information you learn. 90% of my success freelancing in my industry has been from a handful of books I've read. Jab, Jab, Jab. Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk and Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, among others. Oh man, my dad had a pair of Red Wings. They finally crapped out 2 years ago. However, He bought those boots 5 years before I was born, wearing them almost daily to work sites, civil engineer working oil and gas, and helping me out at the barn. Those boots last dang near 30 years. Should have kept them, but we had no space to devote to archiving those. A deep freezer. A good blender and hairdryer. I used to burn these things out at least once a year, until I bought good ones. My Blendtec is going on 15 years and my made in China hairdryer is at least 12 years old. Back when my parents were newlyweds, my father worked at Sears where he obtained a broken high-end blender. All it needed was a new pitcher. That thing has lasted 40 plus years. Looked around my room and saw my electric fan that has been running majority of the day until I sleep for the past 5 years or more. I didn't realize this until now. WTF. Have had other fans in other parts of the house need repairs or need replacing. Some just months into use. This one hasn't even been re-oiled. Yep, recently had to replace my decade-old fan. I felt like giving the sucker a Viking funeral. Instead I played military taps on a kazoo while tossing it into the recycler. High quality carpet and padding. If you spend more for a quality carpet and pad, it's much more likely to stay clean and look good for 10 years or more. And top-notch carpet is still cheaper than bargain basement wood. Computer or office chairs. Get something with good lumbar support and practice proper ergonomics to save your back. My old man just spent $400 on a Yeti cooler. He told me that if you put ice in it today, 8 days from now you will still have ice. All of the parts are interchangeable. Hoping I inherit it one day 50-60 years from now, when my dad dies. At 120. Life forever. Pop. A shave set. Safety razor blades are like 10 cents. My goodness, this. I switched to safety razors about a year ago and haven't switched back. I spend maybe $20 a year on razors now, and it's just as good as those $5 Quattro whatever blades. To think this was normal 50 years ago, but we all somehow decided it was a good idea to start spending 50 times more money on something that does the same job just because. Go to the doctor every now and then for preventative care. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Dying early arguably saves you a lot of money. An ergonomic desk chair, steel case, Herman Miller, etc. Vasectomy. A good umbrella. Shell out for a nice one and it'll last you for a long time. Cheap umbrellas break so easily, it's really worth it to get a proper one. Coffee machine. Water filter. Mattress. It was actually a coffee machine that made me think about this. A friend is trying to convince me I should buy a super automatic coffee machine, $600 plus, instead of using my Nespresso. Says I will save a ton in the long run. Set of tools. Buy cheap ones first. If you use them often enough to break, then you buy the good ones. Many people don't use tools often enough to require a good set right off the start, but it is good to have at least something around the house. A nice pen. Not anything ridiculously expensive, but one that was around $10. I've found that the investment itself makes me more aware of it and that I'm less likely to leave it somewhere or have someone borrow it and forget to return it. I work at a credit union and just take home our free pens. They are surprisingly great for being the bought in bulk kind. We encourage our members to take as many as they want as it's free advertising. So go to your credit union and stock up. A quality coat. I bought a London fog wool coat and it's the best purchase I've ever made in apparel. It's lasted 5 years so far and I expect it to last me another decade at least. I also have a coat I bought from Target and it started pilling and looking ratty by the end of the winter, and it didn't keep me warm when it was windy or sprinkling outside. Invest $100 in a timeless, not trendy coat and you'll be set for a long time. You could be right. I bought a London fog spring fall jacket. I agonized about spending the money but finally I liked it so much I bought it. 25 years later I still like it. Spending money on more expensive, but durable, clothing. Great example is Under Armour, generally $25 to $40 per item. But I've had the same bike shorts, running shorts and dry fit shirt for 10 years. And it's quality material. Has some substance to it, doesn't feel flimsy when you wear it. A KitchenAid stand mixer. In 10 years I haven't bought a loaf of bread or box of pasta. And if you make your own pizza, the mixer pays for itself really quickly. $15.20 for a delivery pizza versus about $4 for homemade. IDK, when I come home from work at midnight, I really won't feel like making pasta from scratch. Laser eye surgery. My uncle dropped $5K on laser eye surgery, and he was happy with not having to wear glasses all the time anymore. The laser surgery didn't stop his eyes from aging with the rest of his body. 3 years later, his eyes had degraded to the point where he was back to wearing glasses again. Dashcam. I bought two a couple years ago, one for the front and one in the back. Thankfully, I've never had to use them, but there have been a few close calls where I wasn't at fault. If I were in an accident, they would have saved me. I've become a more cautious driver due to having dash cams. I don't want to have video of my reckless driving to use against me. A good personal computer and a good tablet Chromebook for sitting on the couch bed with. Costco card. Food saver. Excellent way to portion, preserve, and also enhance the flavor of marination. It has saved me tons of money on meat by buying in bulk. It has also helped immensely with preserving deer meat. They're also useful for storing non-food items and contains potential leaks in luggage when traveling with liquids. If you're in the UK, you can get NUS cards if you go to university or do an online course. If you pay £20 to do the cheapest course and get a card, you can use the card to get some pretty good discounts. 10% off at Apple and Microsoft. Also quite a few food places too. A library card. Also, my local library allows 30 color printouts per day. A metal roof. Save yourself from replacing shingles every 10 to 15 years. Have something that is built to last and guaranteed for 55 years. At least that was my thinking when I bought mine, and I'm happy I did. Tankless water heater. Expensive as heck, but the amount of money it saves you from not having to constantly heat up water all day more than makes up for the cost. Rechargeable batteries. You need to buy a whole lot of batteries, more than you actually need to use at any given time, and you're also going to spend up front on chargers and cases and adapters. Easily $100 to get a good setup, but since having a kid, I've probably saved another $100 in just the last year, and the batteries are showing no signs of slowing down. The newer generation rechargeables, especially the Eneloops I'm familiar with, are just as good as disposable batteries every time they come off the charger. Not only does it save money in the long run, it also saves trips to the store. A laser printer. Ink is a freaking ripoff compared to toner. Amazon Prime. We save so much on the free shipping alone. It even comes with free movies and shows to watch. You have been visited by the fashion doggo. Comment your envy strengthens me, so you always look beautiful. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.